Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today. Thanks, Janice, for the intro. Very happy to see so many faces here today, as it's a premiere for me being on such a stage. And within the next 25 minutes, I would love to show you and give you some insights. We at the Douglas Group steer our multi-million euro marketing budgets holistically and centrally across all of Europe. A quick introduction on myself. My name is Paul, and yes, that's on the picture is indeed me a couple of weeks ago when I still had hair. As Janice said, I'm working in e-commerce and performance marketing for more than 6 years now, almost 5 with the Douglas Group. And when talking about performance marketing, I'm more into the performance of performance marketing, I would say. So I'm not the creative mastermind, but rather much more interested in attribution, automation, and data-driven budget steering, which will be a lot about today as well. Besides that, I love doing all kinds of sports. Just recently fell in love with paddle tennis. I saw there was even a side event, paddle tennis yesterday. Anyone attended this one? No? Okay, I need to make sure to see this one next year for sure. Besides that, I'm also a dog dad in my free time, and for all of you who have a dog, you know how much time this takes up. In addition to an introduction about myself, just a few words about Douglas as well. I guess most of you will know Douglas for sure, but we are indeed the #1 omnichannel premium beauty destination in Europe. In Europe means, to be exact, in 22 European countries. And we also have more than 1,900 physical stores across Europe, which will also play a role later in my presentation in terms of marketing steering. Our headquarters is located in wonderful Düsseldorf, Germany, where I'm sitting as well. And last fiscal year, we generated a little more than 4.5 billion euro in net sales. A little fact that not all of you might be aware of, but in addition to Douglas, we have 3 more premium retail beauty brands which are enhancing our omnichannel activities, I would say. And this is Nocibé in France, Parfum Dreams, and Niche Beauty, who are mostly pure e-com players for us. So as I've said, our team is managing the whole marketing budgets for all of our Douglas Group, both centrally and holistically for all of Europe. And this is definitely bringing some kind of challenges with it, right? So we do have diverse market challenges. What do I mean by that? As I've said, as all of you or in Germany and most of our countries will know Douglas for sure, that is not the case in all of our markets. So in Spain or Portugal, for example, our brand positioning is completely different than in the DACH region. On the other side, and as I mentioned the stores earlier, also our store presence varies across of Europe, right? So for Parfum Dreams or Niche Beauty, for example, who have close to no physical stores at all, our marketing steering needs to be different as well. Next up, there's a lot of variability in the marketing mix, right? Frequently used buzzword, I would say, paid and non-paid revenue shares. Let me give you some numbers here as well. Austria, for example, very strong market for us. They have a paid revenue share of about 40%, so relatively low. If we go further to the east of our markets, so Bulgaria, for example, the paid revenue share is closer to 60%. So that's a lot higher, right? We cannot just do the same paid investments or same efficiency targets in a market where 60% of our revenue share is coming through paid already. So this necessitates also different marketing mixes. Most importantly also then there's cultural and economic differences we all know about, right? So for us specifically, do you have any guess what our biggest paid channel could be? So both cost-wise and revenue-wise? Anyone a guess? Google? Yeah, you're right, of course. To be a little more specific, Google Shopping is basically our biggest paid channel. And when talking about Europe and the different shopping behaviors and markets, getting back to the Bulgaria example, Google Shopping is non-existent in Bulgaria. So this is something we cannot use in Bulgaria, even though it's very successful for us in other markets. But at the same time, Bulgaria, for example, is a lot stronger than the DACH region in social commerce or TikTok, right? So channel needs vary per market drastically. And also, for example, price sensitivity. An average user of us in Poland, for example, might be a lot more price sensitive and doing a lot more price comparison before buying his perfume than someone in Switzerland, for example, right? So these are all facts that differ, and that in the end, which you can see on the top left corner, is being translated into different commercial targets for us as well, because obviously it's not only different net sales targets per market, but also different efficiency targets that we strive for across of Europe. So how do we at Douglas try to tackle these challenges? And in my eyes, there's two things which are key and which are building the foundation for tackling a centrally steered marketing across all of Europe. And this is on the one side, advanced attribution systems, and on the other side, an automated availability of marketing, but also business commercial key metrics. I don't want to go too much into attribution systems today, even though I think we can talk about this forever. But as you all know, an attribution system is key for us in taking data-driven decisions, right? And I use the word systems here in plural on purpose, because I want to give you a little bit of insight what kind of systems we use at Douglas. And indeed, we have a combination of two systems. This is a media mix modeling, so MMM on the one side, and a multi-touch attribution on the other side. And what do we use each thing for? So on the first hand, we have the MMM, the media mix modeling, which is used a lot more on a top level for us, for taking decisions on a more strategic and tactical level. The biggest difference to the MTA basically is that it analyzes all of our marketing activities and the effect on both of our sales channels, so offline and online. So we can look at our effectiveness of the marketing activities specifically for online or specifically for stores, or combined as well if we wish to do so. But this is more used, I would say, in the beginning of our budgeting process. On the other hand, we have the multi-touch attribution, which we lose a lot more in the daily doing. So this is the model focused on purely e-com sales, and it's basically analyzing all interactions that are leading to conversion or sale. And this one also goes or is a lot more granular than our MMM model. So it goes down until campaign, ad set, ad creative, whatever we want to look at, and it's showing the immediate impact of our touch points for e-com sales. In addition to the attribution models, I talked about availability of key metrics, and this is key for us as well. And I'm not talking about the standard marketing KPIs we all know, like CTR, CPC, the CPM, or even the product availability rate that we have. But for our steering across of Europe, we way more specific and granular data than this available for us in real time. And let me give you two examples here as well. Nocibé in France, for example, every third order that we have in France is an omni-channel order. So it's either pick up in store, click and collect express, these options which we have. And this is something we need to be aware of for all of our markets, because this value might change also. And this is something we need to react on, right? For example, having more focus in Google Shopping on local inventory ads in those countries where we see the omni-channel share is higher. Another example is again from our eastern region, specifically the Baltics. So Lithuania, for example, we saw quite recently, to be honest, that their cancellation rates are higher than in other countries. We found out the reason for this as well, because we offer different payment methods in the Baltics that the user require us to offer as well. But this payment method is generating a lot more cancellations. In the next step, when connecting this to our marketing steering, we also saw that we have channels that are driving these sales with these payment methods and with these higher cancellations more than others. So this is something we try to react on when this data is available for us. So what do we do afterwards when we get this data out of our fancy attribution systems and available in real time in our dashboards and so on and so on? In my eyes, the most important thing is combining this with human expertise and experience for the real optimal outcome for the business. Because I think that the best systems mean nothing if we as humans don't tune them, right? And I have a story for you here as well, talking about the media mix modeling which we implemented. Shortly after we implemented, we were all very keen on seeing the results from our MMM, right? Where can we get smarter? Where can we invest the next euro? And the first insight, as I've said, shortly after we implemented the MMM, was basically telling us, you have the best marginal CPA if you want to drive store sales in Germany if you invest more into affiliate cashback. So talking about payback or other cashback possibilities. The system, because it was quite new, didn't know yet was that cashback wasn't even redeemable offline. So there is no payback in our stores. So it's an only online measure, right? So these are things we as humans or our professionals in our team need to realize, play back into the system to make it work better in the future, right? So the system can give us better and better recommendations from time to time. In addition to this human expertise and experience, there is another thing I think which is very important in steering this marketing across all of Europe, and this is to keep your agility and to be flexible in your steering, right? So our team, 13 team members, I always like to call us a mix of e-com and marketing managers, because it could very well be the case that in country A, we're riding a more net sales driven strategy. In country B, at the same time, we're riding a more efficiency driven strategy. And country C, for example, is more focused on gaining market share, and both net sales and efficiency are not as important as somewhere else. And I do think this is something we need to keep. And two examples for this steering agility or flexibility I saw last year in Black Friday. Two different countries, two different examples the other way around, basically. So last year, Black Friday in the Netherlands, we saw, or we got the information also in close cooperation with the local teams and the store teams, that it looks not so promising for our physical stores in the Netherlands that they will achieve their sales targets on Black Friday. So this is the information we got, and together with the management, we decided basically on this day, during the day, I think it was 12 o'clock or something, to change our steering then in e-com as well, because we saw possibilities for more sales in e-com, which meant we had to go over our efficiency target of this day, basically, but to try closing the gap of net sales that the stores might generate, right? So we have this flexibility from going from one target to another. In Switzerland, basically, the other thing around happened. In Switzerland, I remember we were paying crazily high cost per clicks on Google last year on Black Friday. And this was not bearable for us, efficiency-wise. So also together with management, we decided to cut back a little bit in our spendings and don't go with the trend and pay these high CPCs, because that would mean we would have just paid on top for every single order that we buy. So we decided to go more the efficiency way and say, okay, guys, we know we will generate less net sales today, but the ones we generate will be way more profitable for us rather than going with the crazily high CPCs in the market on these days. So as I've said, I'm more the analytical and numbers guy, so I will not let you go today with at least showing you some numbers. And in our eyes, all which I've just talked about has definitely played a big role for us in achieving these numbers you see here. So on the left side, you can see this is e-com only. our net sales, performance marketing costs, and cost revenue ratio development over the last 3 years. The fourth bar on the right side is the plan for this fiscal year. And you can see that we've been able, with this strategy, to grow our net sales double digit quite strongly, and at the same time keep the cost growth lower than the net sales growth, and ultimately optimizing our cost revenue ratio by more than 10%. As I said, this is a snapshot of the whole group, right? So certain countries I talked about earlier will for sure look different than this graph. But if they do, that was on purpose, because our strategies and targeting and targets were different in some markets, right? So it could very well be the case that the efficiency did not improve in other countries, but we gained market share. And this was due to our steering in these markets. All right. Let me summarize once again everything which I've just said. So I think it's very important, obviously, to have the technical base in place, right? Advanced attribution systems, in best case scenario, even multiple of them, because there's no systems ever giving you the 100% truth. This needs to be powerful, automated, in order for you to take data-driven decisions. But at the end, I think this human judgment and hands-on experience from all of our teams is what makes it even more effective, the business steering, because I think sometimes this so-called human gut feeling can be very, very important for us. And for us as Douglas, as I've said in the beginning, 22 markets, 3 entities besides Douglas, on average 10 marketing channels, and even adapting them just once a week. And let me tell you, we do adapt them more than once a week. That's more than 600 steering decisions every week, right? So our team is basically trying to build a standardized data set and foundation together with this human touch on it to make business steering effective at Douglas. All right, lastly, I brought some additional points which we don't have the time for today to go into detail. But as you all know, the marketing world is so dynamic, so fast. There's obviously other things we wrap our heads around, right? And already other people talking about this a lot, right? There's embracing advanced technologies, which is also influencing the marketing mix, like LLMs. So we see more and more traffic coming from these LLMs and into our shop as well. So this is something we're monitoring closely. There's a lot of data privacy and regulation topics in marketing as well, right? All of you who are marketing manager can sing a song about this. But also just at the same time, the last point, we see this as well, increasing competition. Yeah. So I think Flaconi is here as well, and they are doing a proper job. So we see that. But yeah, I think that's the fact for all of us. So I would love to talk more about all of these points, but the time is almost over. So thank you, first of all. And in case there are any questions, feel free.
Hi, thank you. I have a question. You mentioned Flaconi, which is great. What at the moment where AI is dominating and every consumer has the same information, the same entrance to the information, what still makes you special? So what helps you to win customers? Let's take as an example Flaconi or any other competitors that you have. What are this and how marketing influence this very high competitiveness, not only with the physical jobs or e-commerce jobs, but shops, but also with AI, which you mentioned multiple times?
Yeah, very good question. I do think, to be honest, it's the combination or doing the combination as best as you can of all the things you have just mentioned, right? So we have the big advantage at Douglas that we are an omni-channel player, right? So we can give the customer the possibility to shop basically everywhere where he wants, right? He can either do that physically in a store, he can do that in the app, he can do that online. And I think the most important thing which we are really trying to focus on to keep customers with us or to generate new customers also in marketing is to promote this focus in omni-channel, right? because myself as a customer, I feel very happy when I can combine my shopping experience everywhere where I want to. I have the app that is combining all of it, and I think right now I agree with you. It's critical times for everyone, and everyone needs to fight for customers. And on the one hand, you can do that, for example, with being the cheapest, right? But that's not always the possibility long term for your margin and bottom line numbers as well. So I think it's a lot about generating the best results for the customer shopping experience. Yeah, in a combination of all of those things. Hi.
My name is Ania, and I work for. Thank you for the talk.
Yeah.
I work for a supplements brand, and we are present in Douglas also
Cool.
for a year now. And in the beginning of the talk, you mentioned that the positioning that you have in the DACH region or in Germany is completely different to the one in Spain, in Portugal, for example. And I'm curious about Spain. What are the differences that you see? We're currently expanding there, both
Yeah.
with Douglas and with our online shop. And I would love to hear a bit more about it.
I do think it's changing our presence in Spain already, because we've worked a lot on it the last few years, to be honest. And Douglas in general, we worked a lot on a lot of premiumization, right? So we had a place in time, long time ago, where that was not really the case. And in Spain specifically, I think it took us the longest to get more towards this premium segment, right? So I think in Spain, at least that's what I know from the Spanish local stores there as well, which you have. It's a lot of times a combination of perfumery, beauty store, and drugstore at the same time, right? So you have a lot of stores there where you can buy your toilet paper on the left side and then your Chanel perfume on the other side, right? And that's what the struggle for us as well, both online and online, right? So you have a weird mix of SKUs in the shop where you have, I don't know, the products I just mentioned next to a perfume or whatsoever. So our premium feeling towards the customer was just not there as it was maybe with Sephora or other competitors in Spain. And this is something really we try to work on over the last few years, and we're seeing steps in the south as well that is getting us there. Yeah, thank you.
So hi Paul, I'm pretty impressed by the presentation
Thank you.
plus the approach that you folks are taking. My query actually is two. Number one, you said it's a combination of data analytics plus human intelligence. So at the end of the day, if C-level folks have to make a decision, they would need an interface, as in a user interface, depending on which they can see all these insights.
Yes.
So what is it that Douglas use? That is the first part of the query.
Yep.
And the second is human intelligence versus AI. How debatable it is in your point of view, because the form of analytics that you are also showing is a bit rudimentary in nature, because it requires that ground level understanding in order to bake into the decisions. So that's where generalizing it, making it more scalable is important. So I was also keen to understand your take on human intelligence versus AI altogether.
Yeah, very good question. So for the first part, I agree, right? There needs to be an interface for all of this data being visible, not only to us who are really working on the campaigns itself, but also to management and so on. So we at Douglas, we use Tableau. Tableau is our interface, at least for management reports and so on. We use some other tools more granular in some of the specific teams, but Tableau is used for, let's say, getting this data snackable for towards management and other players as well. The second question, humans versus AI, very hard to judge, right? For me, it shouldn't be a versus, never, right? It's always extending the data with us as well and working together to get the best results. I think that's at least how we at Douglas try to tackle it, because we also have a data intelligence team, right? They are working on making these insights out of this data-driven attribution models available for us. But they, at the same time, because it's also not their job, they don't have this business context and this commercial connect of this data, right? So they're just basically making the data available, giving it to us, which is very important, right? So we need this data from them, and they need us to put this data a little bit more into perspective, business-wise, which can be also different from market to market. So I think it's never or shouldn't never be a versus, but rather a joint effort of both.
Hi, Paul. I'm Raunak.
Sorry.
I'm Raunak from AppsFlyer. So my question is going to be on attribution. How are you measuring cross-platform LTV right now? How are you stitching your web user and your app user together? And the second question is, you spoke a lot about 600 different tests and decisions that you make every week. Does this also include incrementality tests while you run campaigns online?
So for the second question, no, does not. So this comes on top, right? To be honest, regarding incrementality testing, we did it not perfectly, I think, over the last years. So now that we have this new attribution models in place, we can do better incrementality testing, I think, in the future, because we have one common ground of data where we can then judge it on, right? Our incrementality testing in the past was a little bit more based on tool data from our different platforms and publishers and so on. So I think right now we have an edge there for sure. And then for the first question regarding attribution, right, and how to cross-platform acquisition, yeah, not so easy. It's never working perfectly fine, right? You use users you lose users in the journey for sure. But the app is very much helping us to try to connect this physical user basically with an e-com user, right? So in the app, you're most certainly always logged in, right? So if you then log in online as well with the same user, we can connect this for sure. If you have some form of usage of the app in store as well, which we're working on also, right? We have another connect there. So it's not yet 100% accurate, but the app is really a central piece for us in helping to do this connect for sure.
Hello, Victor speaking.
Hi.
Thank you for your tips the first time. I have a question about visibility, and if we try to scale a brand, and we want to scale in ads and organic, do you have any specific tips for organics for growth visibility?
Yeah. Growing organically is always way harder than growing paid, right? Even for a smaller business, let's say. I think something I mentioned in the end is this whole topic SEO evolving to geo, so including all the LLMs, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and co. So I do think being a first mover for a smaller business in this direction right now, where let's say the traffic coming from these sites might be for free, at least sometime, until everything gets ran over by paid there as well, might be a competitive edge you can take there to really see how we can put our brand better into these systems and to make traffic come from there. Besides that, growing, let's say, non-paid revenue share is tough, right? Because you need a certain brand awareness and positioning to make this grow.
Thank you.
You're
By
welcome.
the way, I love tennis pedal too.
Awesome.